Hello, first generation students, families, friends, and supporters, and welcome to First Generation Family Orientation 2024. Brought to you by the UT Dallas Office of Undergraduate Education, First Generation Student Programs, and our partners with Capital One Bank. My name is Derek Jackson, and I am Assistant Director here in the Office of Undergraduate Education, and I help oversee First Generation Student Programs here at UT Dallas. Welcome. First Generation Family Orientation welcomes your family into the Comet family by introducing you first and foremost to our programming, Generation Student Success Network, and introducing you to important policies and resources that will jumpstart your launch here at UT Dallas as a first generation scholar. We also bring your family into the mix as well, because we know that as first generation students like myself, our family is an integral part of our success. So it's all one family affair, and we appreciate our families for their support throughout this journey. So this presentation is for you and your family. I'm here outside the Davidson Gundy Alumni Center here on our beautiful campus, where we are streaming this program for our in-person attendees. If you are watching us live during this premiere on the First Generation Comet's YouTube channel, do us a big favor, and first of all, give us a like and subscribe to the channel so that you stay up to date on all of our uploads. Also, feel free to chat with our supporters during this premiere. The live chat is live, so feel free to chat with us, ask us questions, and then we'll get to those during the show today. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I'm so excited to share and present this information with you. And once again, welcome to First Generation Family Orientation 2024. You can enable closed captioning here on YouTube by clicking on the CC button at the bottom right of your screen. Once you click that, you can auto-translate all of the audio during this presentation into your preferred language.
Hi, I'm Dr. Courtney Burkeen, the Senior Associate Dean in the Office of Undergraduate Education and First Generation College Graduate. Before we get into our conversations and presentations with our first generation student supporters from across campus, I want to provide a quick overview of today's content. First, I will share some cultural insights about UT Dallas and what you and your student can expect during your journey. Then, Derek will share more about the types of programming we offer exclusively to first generation students. The bulk of our content is important first generation family resources from our campus partners, which includes everyone from financial aid and the bursar to the Student Success Center and academic advising. While we know it is a lot to listen to, we hope you find it valuable, and most importantly, I hope you feel welcomed to the Comet family. Now, as I mentioned, Derek and I thought it would be valuable for me to share some insights about our campus culture and what your student might experience. UT Dallas publicly talks a lot about rankings, low student debt, the high quality of our students, research, and value. There are many reasons why we attract highly motivated students like yours. They often come in with a clear set of expectations of what they hope to achieve and how they will achieve it. Our culture is a good fit for that type of student. We are often not the last stop for our undergraduates. During their time here, they innovate and prepare for the next stages of their lives, which in many cases includes going into a position above entry level, enrolling in graduate or professional school. While this makes my work fun because we get to see great students achieve greatness, it can add additional pressures on your student to be perfect or the best. And we sometimes hear from our students, it can feel like they are competing with each other. This can make them feel like a failure if they do not perceive themselves as good as their peers, which is untrue. So staying positive and not stressed requires good habits early and willingness to recognize when to change behaviors, reach out, and identify a campus resource for support. And that's where you and our team come in. As you can see, I selected a few images of what our students do and what they perceive all of their peers are doing, and not only doing it, but many of our students assume that students participating in competitive programs, winning competitions, and earning high grades, it comes easily to everyone. And sometimes they think it comes easier to everyone but them. However, in reality, the iceberg. Every student I have ever worked with has experienced what you see here. In my programs, I've engaged thousands of students, and I have personally worked with hundreds. Sometimes it feels like I write hundreds of letters of recommendation, so don't let it fool you. While it might seem that students earn the highest possible GPA of 4.0 easily, That is not true in every semester of their career, and they all have really rich stories when they finish at UT Dallas. I have never met a student who has had no worries. So while people may only see accomplishments, there are a lot of other things going on beneath the surface for many, if not all, of our students. If you notice hygiene issues, if they avoid conversations about grades or friends, and ask why it's hard to get details, recommend that they meet with us. If you maybe notice they've worn the same pajama pants for 3 straight days, that could be a sign of stress. So please ask about what they're worried about or refer them to the counseling center. If your student only talks about going to classes, and faculty, or only talks about socializing and joining clubs, make sure they have a good balance and are doing well in both areas and not too much too soon in just one. New friendships and activities on campus, and even studying, internships, or doing research can seem threatening or unnecessary because it might keep them online or away from home more or out of class more. But those relationships and experiences are so valuable. Any of those activities could actually contribute to better job prospects, which might mean more money right out of school. So show your excitement about their engagement. If you ask about any of the topics shown here and you have concerns, refer your students or recommend one of the great resources you'll learn about today. Okay, so next, a few final reminders. Expect changes in your student as a person and possibly in their career goals or major. Most important thing is do not panic. Trust the process. Encourage all of these wonderful changes because they already want to make you proud. So fear of disappointing you can also cause additional stress. Remember, the goal is for your student to be independent and happy after graduation, regardless of their major or chosen career. We offer special advising for students who want to be lawyers or go on to medicine, and we have a wonderful career center that can help students understand their job options. Refer to us. I don't want to brag, but we know it all. Just kidding. Well, partially kidding. Because if we don't know the answer, we can connect you and your student to a first generation student supporter who does know what you need, so you and your student do not have to navigate getting answers alone. The font displayed is just a little tiny, but that's just to illustrate the long, long list of resources our amazing campus has to offer you and your student. And if you refer your student to us, we can connect them to individuals in all of those important areas. So, I have talked about the stress and pressures that a high achieving campus can cause, but one of the benefits of our campus culture is that there's no negative stigma to taking advantage of people and programs. Your student may assume that no one is asking faculty questions, using the Student Success Center, going to the Counseling Center, or reaching out to us. And I can say that confidently as someone who sees the list of hundreds of students, and in some departments' cases, thousands of students who use those services. Our students want to succeed and do really well after graduation, which means that most are doing whatever it takes without hesitation to make sure that they accomplish that. So please help us make sure that your student does so as well. Basically, we are here for you and your student. These takeaways transition us to tips for families.
So you've heard a little bit about the culture here at UT Dallas. Now I want to take a little bit of time to put that culture into the perspective and the context of being a first generation student here at UT Dallas. And we've got 4 tips for first generation families to ensure that your student is successful here. Tip number 1, trust your student. They have earned their place here at UT Dallas. They've been accepted into one of the most rigorous and competitive schools in the state. So they have earned their place here, and trust them to let them show that they have the ability to succeed here. Tip number 2, trust us. We are here for them. Courtney and I are both first generation students. I am a first generation college graduate from UT Dallas. And while the building that I'm standing here is a little bit new, the first generation student experience here at UT Dallas, I'm very familiar with, even from my time almost 10 years ago. So we are here for them. If you are worried, if you need anything, email us, firstgen.utdallas.edu, and either myself or a member of our team will be in contact with you. Tip number 3, trust the process. Earning a 4-year degree is well worth your scholar's time, investment, and energy. Trust that it will work out, especially with the support that they receive from first-generation student programs. A lot of times, we may think that the process of getting your degree is a straight line. It's linear. You go from one thing to the next to the next. But I can attest that it's more like this. There are going to be twists and turns, but you will ultimately get to your destination. So trust the process. And then finally, tip number 4, trust the resources here at UT Dallas. First generation student programs would not be what it is today if not for our amazing campus partners. We have resources to address every aspect of your student's journey, so trust that you have resources available to support your scholar. Again, if you have any questions, email us at firstgen.utdallas.edu. We're so excited to be working with you.
Hi everyone, my name is Rexar Chang and I am a neuroscience undergraduate student here at UTD. I completed my first year and it went well. I think there were some minor bumps and maybe not some minor bumps, but I'm here, I'm okay, I'm smiling. But I guess I'm here to tell you how to avoid those bumps completely. So my first piece of advice would probably be your schedule. Remember that even if you have your classes scheduled and all that, you can still change them. You have till Census Day, and that's just a day where it marks the deadlines of when you can just change your schedule without a W or a withdrawal. And you only have a specific amount, so use them sparingly, but you can ask your counselor about it. So you need 12 credits to be considered a full-time student, which is the status that you want to reach for most people, because financial aid, scholarships, they do depend on being a full-time student most of the time. My counselor suggested that I only take 4 classes, which is full-time student status, right? But I guess I don't know what I was thinking. I think I just didn't want to do the bare minimum. But in hindsight, there was nothing wrong with that. There was nothing wrong with that, especially as coming in as a freshman. And I should have done that because I think I would have done better in all of my classes because I would have additional study time, right? But I did 1 extra class, and that seems silly, but 1 extra class does change a lot, right? That 1 extra class might be the class you spend the most time studying for, and that takes away time from all your other classes. And it's a whole thing, it's a whole domino thing. And you can just avoid it by being nice to yourself, maybe, and sitting down, maybe with your parents, and just thinking, can I actually do all of these classes that I'm scheduling? Can I actually do it? It's important to just keep reflecting on it and coming back to it and just being honest. You don't want to be reaching and really extending those brain power, right? Your first semester when you're just super stressed about everything, it's just not worth it in my opinion. And then my second piece of advice would probably be about your schedule again. Don't overestimate how much time you have in between classes. So maybe you have an hour, 2 hours, and you're okay, maybe I can go out and get food. It's not that long. It's not that long, especially with parking and walking to your class. No. And parking was horrible my first year. I'm not gonna lie. I paid for Green, which is the least expensive, and they were just the farthest, and I just didn't anticipate each time. Every morning I did not anticipate how far the walk was. I just did not learn. First semester, I was oh, I can do this walk in 5 minutes, 6 minutes. I'm a fast walker. No, I can't. Especially with the science classes from the major Green lot, it's farther than you think. Important for parents too, I had to have a sit-down conversation with my mom. In high school, I had some free time senior year, and I did help her out a lot with my little brother, taking him to football practice, baseball practice, and all that stuff. And I just had to tell her I can't do that in college. Well, it's a further commute for me because I am commuting from home. I don't know if I mentioned that. And I had to sit down with her and tell her hey, the 3-hour gap in my schedule does not mean I can come home and help you or spend time with you or spend time with the family and I could just go back for class. It's just not efficient for me to do that. I just wanted to make sure she wasn't feeling hurt. She wasn't feeling I'm not spending time with the family willingly. It's just that gap in my schedule is very deceptive. It's not a true break, especially when you're you go to your lecture and you're okay, school, your brain is school, right? And sometimes it's hard to sit down and tell yourself it's time to do school. So when you are in that school mindset, it's best to take that to your advantage, milk that, start writing essays, start studying, when you feel you're in that mindset, because it's hard to get into sometimes, right? So that's another thing to keep in mind. Your breaks are not as long as they seem, unless you're like hanging out with friends on campus. Then, that's different. That's like an hour and you're staying on campus. I know a lot of first-gen people do commute just because it's more cost-effective, and sometimes you just want to stay with your family and stay close, right? And then another big piece of advice is make friends. Hang out with people, like say hi to the person in the lecture next to you. It changes everything. I think my first semester, freshman year, I definitely was focused on school. Like I was like, okay. And it was fine, like I had fun, it was all right. But my second semester, I definitely was like I felt less stressed about like knowing where my classes are, less stressed about, first semester at college. Like I had a little bit of groove going on second semester. So I talked to a lot more people in my lecture halls, and it made the world a difference. It was so much more fun to go studying in the library. It was so much more fun to go to lectures. Like it gives you a nice reason to go, like accountability. You know what I mean? Like you don't want your friends asking you, where are you? Like, why are you late? Like you're there. It also provides a nice stress-free outlet, Like it's no fun going through school just studying. Like you're gonna burn out most likely, right? On the topic of relationships, building a relationship with your faculty is also really important. Not only for academic reasons like getting your recommendation letter and etc., but also because building a relationship with your faculty ensures that you feel comfortable around them, right? It also ensures that they understand that you're trying and you care about their class and you're not just slacking off. So then in the future, like maybe you do really well like the first few weeks, right? And then maybe you go into a roadblock. Either you don't understand the content that's going on, or there's something going on at home. It makes it easier for you to talk to your professor and like tell them what's going on because you've already established a relationship with them. And it makes them understand like, hey, this isn't just you messing around. You're trying. This is truly a hard topic for you, but you're trying. Or there's actually something going on at home, and that's why things aren't going as smoothly as they were in the beginning. And the faculty here at UTD, at least for all of my classes, they've all been super nice. I haven't had a bad experience with one of them. An important faculty member for me to keep in mind is definitely your STEM professors, just because I know if you're applying to med school, you need at least one recommendation letter from a science professor, and then also from Mr. Garrett. He's a very nice resource to have. He gives great advice. He's very nice, very approachable. He has a very cool office. If you like Spider-Man, it's a very cool office, It's a nice break from all the modern things here at UTD. I'm sure everyone will do great. I don't have any doubts.
So now I want to take a little bit of time to talk about what exactly First Generation Student Programs is here at UT Dallas. First Generation Student Programs provide centralized, comprehensive support for first generation students who will, of course, be first in their families to earn their 4-year degree in the United States. We do this first and foremost by leaning into our awareness campaign so that the entire campus knows about first generation students, our identity, and celebrating that because it is a fantastic accomplishment. We provide information sessions, legacy projects, and we connect our students and the families with the First Generation Student Support Network here at UT Dallas. Through our partnership with Capital One, we provide programming that leans into preparing first generation students with career readiness, internship, and job prospect opportunities during and after college. But we also introduce our students into a variety of resources here on campus, including some that we're going to talk about today. And we have our legacy projects like the First Generation Jargon Dictionary. We work together to uncover what's called the hidden curriculum in higher education. The hidden curriculum is all of the unwritten rules that I certainly didn't know about during college, that we work together to expose the hidden curriculum so our first generation students are fully aware and fully informed about how to move during the undergraduate college experience. Families, you can support first generation students by making sure that they are checking their emails. We send weekly emails every week with all of our programming updates and important policies and deadlines that are coming up for your student. We also have events that cover academic and social belonging and many of the opportunities that are available to your student. We also have our e-learning group, which is another way that we can communicate with our first generation students to provide all of the updates and engagement opportunities for our first generation students here at UT Dallas. Probably the most important part of your scholar's journey is actually paying for the journey. We want to introduce you to two of our supporters from the Office of Financial Aid and the Office of the Bursar, who will give families more insight into how these resources support your scholar. We're going to start with the Office of Financial Aid and then move into the Office of the Bursar. So without further ado, I'll take it over to our first generation student supporters over there. All right, Comet families, I am here with our wonderful supporter from the Office of Financial Aid, Sarah. Thank you for joining us, Sarah, for First Generation Family Orientation 2024. I just have a few questions for you for the families and the incoming first generation students out there. Kicking us off, could you just give a little overview of the services provided by the Office of Financial Aid?
Sure, yeah, happy to be here and be speaking with all of y'all today. So our office helps with the financial aid process. So that's everything from completing your application, whether that be the FAFSA application for our citizens or permanent residents, or our TASPA applications for our Texas residents who don't fall into those other categories. So we start with that application. Our office receives the application and then determines what type of financial aid a student may be eligible to receive, and gets that all packaged on there for their accounts, make sure that the documentation that we're needing has been submitted and accurately reviewed, and so that we can give the most amount of financial aid that is available to our students. And that helps facilitate the payment process for school. We know it's not cheap. So every little bit of financial aid that we can offer students definitely helps. Our office is there just to make sure that that process is easy as possible for you, and that we're giving you all of the aid that you're eligible to receive.
As you were talking, I was thinking about when I was coming into UT Dallas as a freshman, my first year, and the communication with the Office of Financial Aid actually started shortly after I accepted my offer of admission. And so one of the things that we really want to drive home is making sure that we're taking a look at our email inboxes and being on the lookout for communication from the Office of Financial Aid. Could you touch a little bit on why it's important for students to be checking their emails for any type of communication from the office?
Yeah, absolutely. You're so right. All of our communication that's going to go to the student is going to go directly to that UT Dallas email address. So you do want to make sure that you are checking it regularly, making sure that we have any emails that we've sent you have been reviewed. Maybe we're asking for additional documentation. Maybe we're telling you that you've been packaged and you need to go review and accept your aid. All of that communication is going to go straight to the UT Dallas email address. And then same too on the reverse side. If you're wanting to get in touch with our office, that email also needs to come from the UT Dallas email address, just so that we're making sure that we're talking to the right student, and giving you the most accurate and up-to-date information. So it's very important to be checking that and using that email regularly.
Yes, very important, everyone. Make sure you're checking that email. If you see an email from the Office of Financial Aid, more than likely our supporters there are reaching out to help you get your aid packages. Or if there's a question, they wanted to reach out to get that conversation started. I remember very vividly being at the kitchen table with my mother. And see, my mom, she did not go to college. So she was there and we were filling out the FAFSA. I was showing her the emails and all that. And I remember being like, hey, I don't know exactly what's going on, but I have the answers to some of the questions that they may be asking. So what we're really trying to do is encourage the families to feel empowered when students are going through this process. Could you talk a little bit about how families can also support the student's journey and reaching out to the Office of Financial Aid?
Absolutely. Well, that starts definitely with the application itself. There's a lot of students who are going to need parent information on the application, or for a parent to complete a section of the application. So just being available and willing to complete the application to start with is a great help to your students. It's not making you financially obligated in any way to the school. It is just making sure that your student is receiving as much financial aid as they are eligible for. And then once they've been packaged or they're getting these communications communications from our office, just being there as a sounding board to see what exactly it is that we're asking for or what we've been able to provide to the student, and then empowering your student to reach out to our office if they have any sort of questions and just stand in their corner and be there with them.
It is it's a team effort. Families, I do want to point out that your student has their very own financial aid counselor. On the screen now, you will see a little bit of what the financial aid website looks like. Families, your student has a dedicated financial aid counselor that they can reach out to if they have any questions. Encourage your student to reach out to them. Like, hey, have you reached out to your financial aid counselor? Do you see a package that you aren't very sure what to do with this package? Do you need to accept all of your aid or only some of it? These are questions that are very likely to come up. So we just want to encourage the families to make sure that we are reminding our students to reach out to their supporters. And Sarah has been an amazing supporter for first generation families here at UT Dallas, and she will be available for the Q&A taking place after this presentation. If you have any questions at all, if you want to write them down, or if you have them in your head, or if they just pop up during the rest of this presentation, know that our Office of Financial Aid is here to support students.
Just that we are there available for you. So if you have any questions at all at any point in the process, reach out to our office. We're available by phone. That's usually the easiest way to get a hold of us. We're also, of course, available by email, where you can make an appointment or walk into one of our virtual meetings. So we are definitely available and willing to help all of you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah. Before we move on to the next segment, I just want to remind everyone that scholarships, those applications tend to open after the school year started. I think it's around October or so. And the Office of Financial Aid handles those disbursements as well. So the Financial Aid Office is your one stop for all things paying for college. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to our office or the Office of Financial Aid. All right, families, now I am here with one of our first generation student supporters from the bursar office, which is probably one of those words that you hadn't heard of until now. So thank you so much for joining first generation family orientation. Would you mind just kind of introducing yourself and talking a little bit about what exactly is the Office of the Bursar?
Sure, of course. Yeah, pleasure to be here. So to start off, my name is Patrick Cruz. I'm an assistant director at the bursar's office. Really, to start off with, what we do is we assess, bill, and collect on tuition and fees. But in addition to that, we're also collecting on any housing, meal plan, and insurance charges that the student may incur each semester. We also maintain a payment portal. It's called Easy Pay, where students go each semester to make that they pay their balance. In addition to maintaining this portal, we also maintain the background processes of that portal. And then we also allow students to set up things like direct deposit in the event that they need a refund through that portal. Or let's say a student wants to have a parent see their bill or even pay on their behalf. That student is also able to create what's called an authorized user through this payment portal. It's pretty much an all-in-one portal where they can make their payments each semester. It's super easy, and we can usually answer any question you have about that. We haven't experienced anything that we haven't experienced before, essentially.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Patrick. Really appreciate it. And with our first gen families in particular, a lot of times families will serve as authorized users, authorized payments, who are supporting their scholar with payments to the university. And one of the things that I was really looking forward to was having our families and our first gen students see your friendly face with the bursar office. Could you talk a little bit about why communication is important? Like, if a student or family members receive an email from the bursar office, what that might entail and why it's important to follow up on that.
Yep, great question. All right. Yeah, communication is key, especially when you're dealing with deadlines each semester. It can be a little bit overwhelming, considering there's at least 2 to 3 deadlines each semester. We do try to make it as simple as possible, though, in terms of communications. Each semester, we will send out so many communications to a student that they may think they're maybe receiving too much. But that may be, we will send several emails that will either include their payment due dates, their options to pay, and then also our information in those emails. We also will send out billing statements weekly throughout the semester, all the way up to the individual payment deadlines for each student. Phone calls also go out to these students as well. We have a very internal comprehensive schedule where we are constantly sending out students to keep them abreast of these deadlines. Not only that, though, within those emails, we also provide them with information on where you can set up a payment plan. What type of payment plans does the student have available to them? Who can they reach out to if they maybe need more information or if they're not sure on their deadline? Things like that. We also include the academic calendar, which is super important in terms of communications for the students. We put this in every single email that we send out to the student. The reason why is it's got all your important dates on it, especially if a student needs to know whether they need to withdraw and doesn't want to incur any sort of balance. We're here to make sure that they are kept fully aware of those deadlines throughout the semester. Even after, we will still send out reminders, even if a student is past due, we will still notify them and say, hey, it's okay, you've got a past due balance. We're just letting you know it's still there. We will let the student know throughout that entire process if they have a balance in what they need to do. And if for some reason they haven't seen those communications, they can definitely reach out to us. We are available through phone, email, and we even have a chat now as well that's available from 9 to 4:45 during the week as well.
That's awesome. And again, it's all about communication. Patrick and the team from the Bursar office are here to support you. If you ever have any type of balance or just want to be kept up to date about when important dates are coming, they are here for you because they definitely do not want any of our first generation students to not complete and persist to graduation. And we know that the family is a big part of that. How can families support their scholar through partnership with the Bursar office?
One thing I will mention is that we do tend to send all communications to a student's email directly, just in order to be compliant with FERPA regulations, just as in all universities. However, we do make it possible for the parent to reach out regarding a student's bill through that authorized user method in EasyPay. As long as you are setting up an authorized user, the parent is able to log into the student's account and view their bill at any time. They can even make the payment for the student. The student doesn't even have to log in at all. The parent can do anything they need to. If they have any questions, they can still reach out to our office too. It's not strictly just the student email. A parent can reach out as long as they are an authorized user. If they are an authorized user and they have a question on the bill for the student, we will be more than happy to let them know that or answer. Also, as long as we have permission from the student to speak to that parent, we have no problem explaining a bill or any of the charges that are on there. There are so many ways that they can reach out that I can't count at this point. But we are definitely available for parents. We want to make sure that they're able to guide the student through this process and that the student is able to have as least amount of pressure as possible while they're trying to just go ahead and take their classes.
And the academic calendar is available here at this event, as well as on the First Gen website. You can download a copy of the academic calendar, parents and families, that has all of those important dates on there. Well, Patrick, thank you so very much. We will make sure that our First Gen families are aware that they can reach out to you. And families, talk to your scholar about becoming an authorized user, especially if you are supporting their journey with payments to university. Talk to your scholar about making sure that we're all on the same page. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to First Gen or the Bursar office. Thank you so much for joining us, Patrick.
Thank you so much.
Families, when your scholar arrives to UT Dallas, there are a few resources that we want them to be aware of right away. First is the Student Counseling Center. The Student Counseling Center provides mental health resources for your scholar as they persist through this journey. And our professionals at the Student Counseling Center are incredibly knowledgeable, incredibly friendly, and our space has been tailored to the student experience. I want to introduce you now to Dr. Kamisha Kibble, who will give you a little bit of a tour of our services at the Student Counseling Center.
Hello, I'm Dr. Kamisha Kibble. I am one of the staff psychologists here at the Student Counseling Center, where we offer free and confidential mental health services to all of our students. We are located on the 4th floor of the Student Services Building. And this is the lobby that your students will see when they walk in to meet us, where they'll be greeted with our receptionists. We have a bunch of lovely fidget toys that they can take and navigate, as well as snacks and refreshments. And we also have a little library that's in construction right now that should be available to students in the future. Here at the Student Counseling Center, we offer two different types of individual services. The first would be our problem-solving sessions. So sometimes students may come in during midterms or finals when they're really stressed and they need maybe a tip or two to figure out how to relax and get back on track. If that's the case, we offer those short, sometimes even 1 to 2 time meetings where we can connect and develop some strategies on how to move forward. We also offer brief counseling individual services, and that would be an opportunity for students to come dive a bit deeper into patterns and behaviors that they're noticing, why they may come. We offer a bunch of different approaches, a bunch of different clinicians, all different styles and identities. So on our staff bios on our website, you can take a look at that and get a sense of who might be a good fit for you. One of the most important things about having therapy is having a private and confidential space. We have in-person clinicians here who are offices such as mine, where students can come and connect one-on-one. We also have a virtual suite that students can book out and be able to meet to have virtual sessions. If those aren't available and you have a student that stays at home and may not be on campus that day, it's always important to ensure that they have a space that they can meet, that they won't be interrupted, and that they can just have private space to discuss what they might be feeling and engage in the session. Since all of our services are confidential, those things will be kept in the session. Sometimes students will worry about whether professors will hear or if anybody else might know. And it's just helpful to know that those things are going to be kept private since they are here with us. In addition to our individual services here, we also offer groups and workshops, many of which are held in this room, and we also have some that are virtual. We offer 3 different types of groups. We have our skills-based groups, which focus on different skills and techniques that students can use to kind of gain emotional regulation or coping, boundary building, relationships. We also offer process groups where students can come and share just general about how they feel and get some support from their peers. And we also have peer support groups, which are more identity focused and ways that students can kind of connect with one another. So if your student is new to campus and are going to be trying to find their way, their path, their community, groups are a great way for them to build that.
Another resource that we want our first generation scholars to be aware of is the Student Success Center. The Student Success Center is dedicated to all things student success. Students can receive peer-to-peer tutoring. They can become a tutor, get involved more on campus, and it's a dedicated space for your scholar to hone in on their studies. I love the Student Success Center. That place is amazing. I want to share a little bit more about the Student Success Center and the programs that are available to your scholar.
Hi, my name is Mallory Maddock. I'm an assistant director in the Student Success Center, and I'm also a first-gen student. I work with a team of colleagues who support student success here at UTD, and in particular, we offer many tutoring programs that students can utilize and take advantage of, especially in their first semester and their first few years at UTD. So what we do here, we have student peer leaders who operate as our tutors, and they are the ones who do the content tutoring. They are the ones who are face-to-face with your students every day. We have 3 different programs that offer support for math and science, and we know that those are some of the most challenging courses for incoming students, and we have 3 different ways that students are able to learn in the Student Success Center. In peer tutoring, it's like a one-on-one drop-in lab, so students can come in, they can ask one question, they can sit, they can hang out, they can work on their homework for a few hours if that's what they want, but it's going to be more like your traditional tutoring that's drop-in, one-on-one, come and go. Then we offer some group cohort style tutoring, and that's going to be our PLTL program. It's a really popular program here at UTD, and students are required to register in advance. So if that's something that you're interested in and your course is supported, you'll get an email and you'll be notified of when registration opens. It gives each student the opportunity to work with a group of 8 students and 1 peer leader every week for 90 minutes. So it is a commitment for the entire semester. Each week you're meeting with this group of students, you're building camaraderie, you are working on practice problems from faculty members, and the peer leader is there to guide the session and work the problems together. In supplemental instruction, it's another program where you're with a big group of students, and what's interesting about that program is that the peer leader has taken the course already. So say for instance you have signed up for accounting and you've got supplemental instruction support, you're going to have a peer leader sitting in your accounting class with you, and then they're going to put together a review session based on what's going on in the class at that time. So it's real-time updates and real-time questions and support for students. Other programs that we have in the Student Success Center include the Writing Center. The Writing Center peer leaders can help you with any stage of the writing process, and they can help you with papers that are being written for class, but they can also help you with personal statements or applications for med school. We get a lot of students that come in who've never really written about themselves, and that's an important thing to be able to do well, so you can get scholarships, so you can go on to your grad programs. We also have the ComLab, and that is a program that offers support for students who need to give presentations, who maybe aren't comfortable speaking in front of a crowd. And then we have academic success coaching, which again is open for all undergraduate students. It's not course related. We found that procrastination is a really big barrier for getting work done for incoming students. So having an accountability buddy can be really helpful, and students can make appointments or they can just drop into the space and meet with a coach one-on-one to kind of set up a plan for success. Students who are interested in getting involved with the SSC, we have a couple of different opportunities. First of all, if you don't visit our programs but you're interested in just experiencing what the SSC does, we offer a lot of different workshops. We have all these peer leaders who are doing the tutoring, and we need to hire peer leaders. So students are welcome to utilize our services if they love something, if they love PLTL and they want to be a PLTL leader. We hire over 200 students each semester to work for us and support their peers. It's a great way to stay involved in campus. It's a great on-campus job opportunity, and it encourages learning. It encourages gaining a lot of those skills that you'll need for whatever you're doing after UTD. But if you're a family member of a first-gen student, some of the things that you can do to encourage them to be successful at UTD is, first of all, have them visit the Student Success Center. Everybody here is willing to help. If we don't know the answer, we'll find the person who does. Checking in on your student and maybe not asking yes or no questions, asking them, how did you feel about the exam that you just took? How did you feel about going to this event you said you were excited about going to? There are resources on campus available for your student. One of our biggest things that we like to talk about here in the SSC is don't wait until it's too late. So encouraging your student to make the SSC and studying a priority from the beginning can be really helpful. We want them to feel supported, to feel like they have the tools to be successful, and that they're not in this alone.
Academic advising. This is probably the one resource for student success that our first generation students will be most involved with, because the academic advisors advise your scholar from the beginning of the degree plan all the way through that final degree audit before graduation. Now, academic advising can be a bit unfamiliar to how to navigate, especially for first generation students. I know that I was one of them, but I want to introduce you to one of our supporters who will give more insight into how first generation scholars can utilize academic advising in a strategic way and how families can support their scholars' use of academic advising.
Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here today. My name is Kim Calvert, and I'm currently the Director of Advising in Engineering Computer Science, so one of our largest undergraduate schools on campus. So I fell into advising about 6 years ago. Absolutely fell in love with the profession. I was a first generation student, right? So I didn't really know what advising was. I didn't visit with my advisor that often. And so when I began my career as an advisor, I was like, what am I going to do with my students? How do I navigate this career? And how can I be the best advisor for my students that maybe I didn't have? So I love advising. I love my students, and I absolutely love being here at UTD.
That's awesome. We really appreciate that enthusiasm. As a first generation student myself, I found my way through my academic advisor. So our students have been hearing about academic advising a lot since they've gone through their orientations. But for our families, if you could sum it up, what is academic advising?
Oh, academic advising is many things, so it's very hard to kind of condense it into one little definition here. But I would say that your academic advisor is your partner through your academic journey here at UTD. We're here to help you navigate what it means to be a student and how to move through your degree successfully and in a timely manner. We're here to help you achieve any academic or personal goals that you wish to achieve. We are just your number one supporters and your allies through this journey that you're taking here.
I think that's a perfect description. Thank you so much. We talk about the first generation student experience, and we were talking a little bit before we started recording about, as a first generation student, we both felt a little intimidated by the process. And having the support of our families is what really galvanized us and gave us the energy to be like, okay, I can do this. I can go and talk to my academic advisor. So when we're talking about the familial support, the families who are in the audience today, what would be your advice for how we can empower our families to encourage our first gen scholars to visit with their academic advisor?
Just having an open conversation with your students, checking in with them as you do. If they're a first generation student and they're away from home for the first time, it's a scary time for students. So if you are regularly checking with your student, how are classes going? How are you feeling? Did you join any student organizations? Have you met with your advisor yet? What has your advisor said about your next semester classes? So really just having a continuous open conversation about advising. And it doesn't have to be every day that you're calling your student, have you seen your advisor yet? I would say at least once a semester, check in with your student, maybe twice a semester. Have you met with your advisor? Have you checked with your advisor about maybe some life changes or course changes you're thinking about? Just have them check in with us regularly via email or virtual meetings, or you can walk in and see us. We are readily accessible to your students, and we are happy to help.
And we talk a lot about the hidden curriculum of higher education. These are those unwritten rules that we don't know as first generation students, and it's not our fault. How could we have known? There was no blueprint until first generation student programs came along. No real blueprint for how to navigate this. And the academic advisors to the families and our first gen scholars are a key component of uncovering the hidden curriculum. It is a judgment-free zone, especially with supporters like Kim, who have been there before, who can say, hey, this is how undergraduate kind of works in this way, and this is how I can support you. We share with our first generation families the academic calendar so that we can highlight important dates during the academic year. Can you talk a little bit about peak times? Because this is something that we all deal with in both semesters, the fall and the spring. So you talk a little bit about peak time for academic advising and some of those peak time best practices.
Perfect. Yes. So first off, I just want to start by saying that as your advisors, we are here to clarify anything that you have questions about. If you feel that it's a stupid question, it is not a stupid question. It is worth asking. There's a lot of lingo that advisors say or talk about, abbreviations or codes that we just throw out into conversation unwittingly. So if something doesn't make sense, if you're like, what is the bursar's office? Ask, please. We want to clarify this. We want to make sure that you are taking control of your academic career and you know exactly what you need to do. Second, for the peak times, I would say the first peak time is going to be the very first week of school, even the week before school. So this is when advising is really ramping up, getting ready to welcome back our students. We're opening our office doors. We are ready to help. If you have questions about my schedule, is it still okay? Where do I go for my classes? Who can I go talk to about this? That's a really big, important time that you want to come in and check in with your advisor. Just be like, hey, I'm here. You can just come say hi. We'd love to see you. We would love to see your face, put a face to a name. The second most important time is if we're talking fall, spring. So in fall, we're talking October, spring, we're talking kind of April. These are the times where advising is going to really pick up and get very, very important for students to kind of take note of. This is when we're getting ready to register students for the next semester. So if you can plan to come in and see your advisor at the very beginning of October, that would be ideal. So you're not losing. I lost my train of thought. So you're not forgetting what you need to be doing, so that you can get ahead of the curve. So you can come in and see your advisor before we get really, really busy and maybe only have like 15, 30 minutes to spare for you, because we want to sit down, have conversations with you, talk about everything we need to talk about. So definitely start scheduling appointments with your advisor regularly and on a consistent basis, and that will guarantee you success.
Yes, absolutely. And families, the month of October is probably going to be one of those really important months. So that's a good rule of thumb. And we just talked about things like peak times. This is all hidden curriculum stuff that we work together to uncover. First generation student programs, we work directly and partner with our academic advising colleagues, and especially those who are certified first generation student supporters. So we're a team. And in our weekly communication to first gen students, we will remind our students, hey, we're getting around close to that time. Make sure that you set up an appointment with your academic advisor. So we really work, families, to be in sync with each other so that we make sure that your scholar gets the best support possible. Kim will be part of the live Q&A after this presentation. So for in-person families and those watching us on YouTube, if you have any questions that we didn't get to during this short segment, feel free to jot them down, share them in the chat, and we'll make sure that we get to you. Kim, thank you so much for taking the time. It's so great to have you as a fellow first-generation college graduate, fellow first-generation professional, and together we're going to make sure that our first-generation students and our families have a great experience here at UTD. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sometimes life happens. A lot of times life happens. Sometimes there are going to be situations that your scholar is going to face that they're not quite sure what the next step is. Maybe they can't get a hold of an important staff or faculty member that's critical to them completing their degree. Maybe they're in a situation where we can't make that tuition payment. Maybe there's something else going on, like a little bit of food insecurity or other basic necessities. That is why we have the Graduation Help Desk. The Graduation Help Desk is a one-stop shop for all things support to ensure that this journey ends with a cap and gown. I want to introduce you to Roisin Mohammed, the program specialist for the Graduation Help Desk, who will talk a little bit more about this vital resource.
Hello everyone, my name is Roisin Mohammed. I am the program specialist for the Graduation Help Desk here at UT Dallas. Over at the Graduation Help Desk, we are a one-stop resource for students who face any extenuating circumstances that kind of delay their path to graduation, or if they need any guidance to make sure that they reach all their academic goals and are able to get to graduation successfully. We also have a lot of partnerships with other on-campus resources to make sure that all the needs and resources that students are in need of are available to them. We reach out to students to make them aware of what these resources are, where they can go, and who they can speak to. Contrary to what you might think about our name, the Graduation Help Desk, we actually don't help with the actual act of graduation, rather everything leading up to it, just to make sure you have all the resources and support that you need. We'll follow through with you and check in as needed and offer any support and resources to ensure that you are successful here at UT Dallas.
Thank you so much for viewing First Generation Family Orientation 2024 this year. We have had such a wonderful time creating this content for you, and we want to sincerely welcome you again into the First Generation Comet family here at UT Dallas. Thank you so much for joining us. Please stick around for a live Q&A from inside the Gundy Alumni Center, where we'll have a panel of First Generation supporters ready to answer your questions live. For our in-person attendees, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll transition into the live Q&A to answer your questions and the audience questions here live on YouTube. Once again, if you have any questions about anything that you saw today, please email us at firstgen.utdallas.edu. You email us and one of our team members will respond to you. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the Comet family. Whoosh.